Today I am going to give a book review on the book named Into the Thin Air, written by John Krakauer. And this book is based on a true story which happened in Kathmandu in Nepal, where John himself went to Mount Everest expedition, and the incidents was on 1996 and the book was published on 1997. And this book contains so many very emotional incidents which will make the readers very emotional. And I will just shorten the story and say it to you all. So he wrote this. He did the expedition because he was asked to write an article on the commercialization of Mount Everest expedition, and so he traveled from his neighboring his country to Kathmandu, and he met with an agency named the Consultants Agency, which was led by Rob Hart, and there was another agency named Adventurous Consultancies, which was led by his name was, and so they gave instructions about the expedition. Like there are 4 camps in the Mount Everest, and they are like base camp, camp 1, camp 2, camp 3, and camp 4, and the peak. And they have a summit before the peak. The summit is like they have to climb before 2 p.m. from the camp 4 to the peak. And so they were given instructions like they have to wear boots and those mountain jackets, and they should not miss their sticks and all stuff like that. And they started the expedition, and the 4th camp is known as the death camp, where many people died before. Like they were climbing, and because of the harsh conditions and winds, many people died on 4th camp. And 3rd camp is where they will lack oxygen, and it will be very difficult for them. And they were given instructions like that, and they started the expedition. And on the 1st camp they didn't have any problems like that. And in the 2nd camp, when they were in the camp, a guy came out of the tent and he wasn't wearing his boot, and because of that the wind blew and he fell from the mountain and he died on the spot, and his dead body was transferred to the base camp. And it was the starting of the death, and he was very frightened after this. And they moved to the camp 3, and they started lacking oxygen, and the temperature rised so hard, and it was so difficult for them. And there were no deaths on the camp 3. And the next day they moved to the camp 4, and they started lacking oxygen so much, and it was very cold on the camp 4, and a person died due to the cold, and he couldn't handle it. He had his fever on the camp base only, and he died on the camp 4. And later the next day they started the summit to climb to the peak, and John Krakauer was very front, and he was 2 ahead of others, and he finished the summit and reached the peak, and others were 2 back of him. And when he was returning, he couldn't return because others were climbing the peak using the rope, so he was made to wait in the peak, and because of that he started lacking oxygen because he finished the oxygen from his liver, and he was suffocating from the peak. And he managed to climb down, and in the summit many died due to the wind and cold, because they climbed the peak after 2 p.m. because they were instructed not to climb after 2 p.m. But many of them disobeyed those commands and they just climbed after 2 p.m. and many died due to their disobedience. And later, John Krakauer reached the base camp and he was so devastated and he was so emotionally damaged. And he is saying that he won't return to Mount Everest ever again because it was so. He was emotionally devastated and it was very hard for him to handle those situations, and these deaths made him think that this expedition is so hard for a human to do. And the moral that I got from the story is that we should obey what the experts and our leaders say to us, and we should not try to be over smart with them. Thank you.